Hailing from Vancouver, Canada, Vincent Wang, playing as Biofrost, has become one of the world's top League of Legends support players. After working into competitive play, he experienced a storied stint on TSM, going from underdog to becoming one of the best supports on the continent and taking home the 2016 Summer NALCS title. Now on CLG, during the 2018 Spring Split, he racked up 138 assists and a 78.2% kill participation rate. This support is in the spotlight as CLG looks to him to lead their run at 2018 Worlds. On this episode, veteran esports interviewer Travis Gafford and Mobalytics Warchief of Science Amine Issa will find out if Vincent is up to the challenge. Welcome to Good Game, Well Played.
We'll see if Smithy's going to be able to get it.
Biofrost ulti finds him! Beautifully played by Bio! Tries for the shotgun, but again, Biofrost looking for Toe! Finds a 3-man pulverize both! He's gonna go down as Biofrost joins in, does not land the ults on both. Does Dardock have the damage? Double hop comes through, now it's up to Adrian's turn. Ontex here as well, Summoner heal, they'll keep them safe, and Darshan has been saved!
Oh, the shield goes up, that means it's just going to be onto Adrian, slowly getting himself out, but it was not Stixay onto the Glacial Fisher. First kill going to Biofrost, coming by here.
What a wonderful binding from Biofrost, match 2 on a stun. It's 1 versus the world, the knockup is in the end.
Game.
And Counter Logic Gaming gonna pull in the impossible comeback. They will take this win over Cloud9.
Well, welcome to the set, Biofrost. I'm gonna go with Vincent, by the way. Is that okay for this interview?
Yeah, it's actually surprising. Some people, they just get known by their summoner names, and then I'm just Vincent.
Yeah, because we know each other pretty well, and I feel like a lot of people now just refer to you as Vincent. All right, so let's talk a little bit about you and kind of how life began for you, because you are in Los Angeles, but you didn't really, this is not where you were born, this is not where you grew up, so really, what were the early years like for you?
Well, I was born in China, in this small town called Changchun. I lived there until I was 3 years old, and then I immigrated to Toronto, Canada, actually. I originally really did not want to move. You know, if you're a kid, you're like, this is all you know, so I was crying constantly.
And you moved. Where did you move?
We moved to Vancouver, pretty much all the way up till I graduated from high school. My dad, he mainly worked in China, so actually my mom too. So for a lot of my childhood, I actually lived with a homestay.
When you say homestay, what do you, like, what is a homestay?
What is a homestay? So basically my parents are like in China or whatever, and I'm not even sure, is this legal? I hope it's legal.
Okay.
Because I lived with like a nice Japanese lady who just like took care of me, and my parents would like come back and visit because it's like very on and off. It's like an extended babysitter.
Okay. And you said you had more than one?
Yeah, I had a couple. My next one was a lot more strict of a homestay who only allowed me to play video games probably once a week for only 1 hour at a time. The only game that she had was this ATV game, which was actually a lot of fun because, I mean, if you think about it, in 1 week, you only get 1 hour to play video games. Whatever that you're gonna play, it's probably gonna end up being fun.
Yeah. So why didn't your parents bring you to China with them, or why was there the decision to just keep you in Vancouver?
Well, it was mainly for the education. They wanted me to go to school, go to university, get like a job.
The idea was you'd be more successful, I guess, doing this.
Yeah, be anything that I'm not doing right now.
So when did you first start getting involved with games? Because you mentioned you played this ATV game. How did you kind of get introduced to games? When do you start remember playing games?
Yeah, so after the strict ATV homestay, I moved to another homestay.
All right.
And that was when I was kind of introduced to games like a decent amount. Because when I first entered into the homestay, her kid was playing StarCraft, Brood War. And I was like, wait, that game looks insane. And up to this point, I'd only known the ATV game. So this was like on another like level of complicated. And that's basically how I got introduced to games, because of this guy.
What was school like for you? What were you like in school?
I was awful.
Awful? Like as an awful student?
Yeah, I mean, I was probably averaging like C to Bs.
Okay. Is that awful? I feel like awful is Ds and Fs.
I mean, if you're coming from a traditional Asian an Asian like family who sent their kid to Canada to like get them to university. When they look at a report card full of C's and B's, they're not really feeling it, you know?
Sure, yeah.
So I had to study a lot more, cut down on the video games, and the incentive for me to study more was actually getting to play more video games.
Okay.
If you got 6 A's out of 7, you would be able to play video games every day. And that's pretty much what I did.
So video games were always like a big thing for you.
Yeah.
Did you play any sports? Did you do anything else?
I took badminton lessons, I had golf lessons, I had swimming, karate, piano, God.
Do you miss any of this stuff? Did you like any of it?
I like swimming, piano I still play.
Yeah. Around what age did you actually learn about League of Legends?
Well, before League, I played a couple of other MOBA games.
Okay.
Like Dota and Heroes of New Earth. I actually thought League was inferior to these two games.
Right.
And I thought that it was more for casuals.
Like, what was the first game you played and why did you play it?
Well, most of my friends were playing League of Legends, but I was still playing like Heroes of New Earth. So I was kind of feeling a little bit left out, so I tried it out and I was really bad at it originally. I think I went like 1-17 on Rise against like bots. It was awful. So I had no affinity for the game. I was probably destined for Bronze 5 at that point. I'm a competitive person, so I wanted to beat my friends who were infinitely better than me. Yeah. So I played the game a lot more.
But you felt like a rivalry with your friends. Do you remember any in particular that, like, did you ever try to go head to head against these guys or?
Well, no, because my friends were like pretty nice people.
Okay.
So it was just more of like an internal thing, an internal competitiveness that made me want to like become better.
Okay, you started off, you went 1-17 on Rise in a bot game. I want to remember that forever. And then you were destined for Bronze 5. When did you start like moving up the ladder? When did you start realizing like you could actually be good at this game?
I hit level 30. I immediately went into ranked. Some people just are stuck in normals forever, but I wanted to get into ranked system. I got placed in silver 2, and I quickly climbed to gold 5. After end of season 3, season 4, I hit challenger. I think by the end of season 4, that's when I was like, I found out about, like, I watched Worlds.
Was this because friends were telling you to watch it, or what?
Yeah, we had like a viewing party at one of my friend's house where we watched SKT just like pub stomp everyone.
I just love the idea that for years you were aware of this stuff, you didn't look at it, then like season 5 rolls around, you're just like casually watching TSM play in the NALCS, casually watching CLG, and have no inclination or idea that like this is ever going to be a thing. Like it's just out there and you're not really even like engaged in it.
Yeah, because at the same time I was like studying hard for like university, like I wasn't really thinking about like the possibility of becoming a pro player. I had this whole like plan like mapped out, and well, obviously it's
changed a bit.
Yeah, it's changed.
So I'm just kind of curious, what attracted you to the support role in the first place?
Well, I wasn't very attracted to the support role at all in the beginning. I was originally a mid laner, so I definitely didn't like support players. I thought that mid lane was the coolest role because you have a lot of flashy abilities, you can make big plays, and then support players, the stigma with them was that you can't really do that much, and I could never get mid lane, and I always had to fill, so I thought why not switch to support. After I switched to support, I actually kind of started liking it a lot more because, well, for one, I started winning a lot more.
When did you actually start competing?
I think my first team was, I believe, a Final 5. They were part of Coast. I think they changed the name to Vortex.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. After Vortex, I joined a team called Elo Mingle, and we lost to a team called Dream Team. I actually ended up joining Dream Team. After being on Dream Team for a while, I got notified that TSM was having tryouts.
So we've seen Biofrost go from being a mechanically strong support for Doublelift to becoming the shot caller of CLG. Today we'll spend some time with Vincent and really understand the complexities of his job. If you think about it, every game of League of Legends, players are making about 100 decisions a minute, and they're using information from multiple channels. They're looking at the minimap, the tab screen, in-game action, in-game audio, as well as team communication channels, so that they can be the most informed and make the best decision every second. And although it's not the same as looking at a play live and making that decision in the heat of the moment, today we'll sit with Bio and break down a few plays and try and really understand what he's looking for and how he approaches each play.
They're just kind of rotating here and trying to switch it off.
Ooh, that's a good trick for the shotgun, but again, Biofrost looking for total. Find the three-man pulverized bomb! Don't quite connect after it, and it's a bit of a chaos here, and the rest of it sticks there. Still hitting away as Dashtron trying to keep Flame and Shrimp out of there. Dunk there from Rainova. Finds it, could try and seal it, but...
Thanks for being here with us today, Vincent. Let's break down this play. So this is a game between you and FlyQuest early on in the season. Take a look and give us first the game overview, the game state. What are the win conditions? What are you looking for? And how are you going to approach this situation before we start looking at what actually happened?
We're 36 minutes into the game and we're 10K gold up ahead. So things are looking pretty good for us. But when you're this late into the stage of a game, it doesn't really matter that much about the gold difference. It's about team comps. And for the most part, both our team comps are fairly similar. There is a distinction, however, where their team comp thrives better playing front to back, where they want to engage on the closest target and kind of just hit whoever. Sejuani wants to ult the closest target and they just burst him down. Whereas for us, we have a different option where J4 can look for a flank, or myself, where if we expose their carries, which are their Orianna and their Tristana, we can get really good engage. So what I want to do here is I want to look for a flank.
And that's exactly what you're going to do. You're going to go down this way. I'm going to play the video. You're going to see, even though there's two wards there, you clear the one you can see. I'm not sure you knew about that one, but you thought you were pretty safe walking into the control ward push.
Yeah,
there.
so I'm pretty sure FlyQuest made a mistake there where if they were paying attention, they could see me going up. And if they realized that, they would send either their Gnar or maybe even the Sejuani to go deal with me. Let's say Gnar tries to mark me and starts just running at me. There's nothing that I can do, so I would just have to back off.
You just have to join your team
Yeah,
again.
therefore the flank wouldn't really work out. But because they're not paying attention, that I actually get this angle.
So they think your team is, they think you're right here with the team right now.
Yeah, they think that I'm right here, and because I get this angle, I'm not in any vision right now. They don't know where I am, so they're gonna get caught off completely off guard, and that's really important in a team fight because if you have an unexpected situation that you're not really accounting for, then you can possibly make a really bad mistake because you might not have the best reaction to it.
Okay, so you're going to be looking for their carries, right?
Yeah.
So play this a little bit. You're going to see here you come. This is the thing. What are you looking to do right now?
So there's a couple of things that I'm thinking about. First of all, Tristana, if she times it well, she can W my jump. So I don't want to use both of my WQ combo here. If I use both, then she can potentially jump it, and I'm not really going to have anything else for the team fight.
Okay.
So what I want to do is I want to W so that if she does jump away, I can anticipate that and Q afterwards so that I'll still get an engage on them. So what I'm also looking at is I'm looking at these three over here because these three, they're all clumped up right now. And if I can get both the AD carry and the mid laner, then I'm hitting jackpot. That's the best case scenario for me because ideally what would happen is that we get a wombo combo situation here where I'm getting a lot of their people, their main carries, and I have really good follow-up on Jarvan as well as Zilean.
You said ideal situation.
Yeah.
What happens if things don't go ideally? What's the worst case scenario with your big play?
The worst case scenario is we don't get the follow-up. Even though I get the combo, if we don't have any follow-up, we're not gonna get any kills.
What if you don't get the combo? What happens?
If I don't get the combo, we're actually gonna lose this team fight.
Okay.
Let's say I WQ here and she just jumps it. Then they're gonna engage on these people and I'm useless. I'm just there as a meatball. And ideally, you don't wanna be a meatball.
What are you communicating, or what do you think you're communicating when you're walking down here right now for this big play?
In communication right now, I'm screaming, I'm flanking, I'm gonna go in. In Jarvan's perspective as well as Zilean's perspective, they're just thinking, okay, I need to follow up on this engage no matter what, because this could be possibly the game-winning team fight.
So we're gonna play now, we're gonna see what happens, and we're gonna see what the next, so let's stop there.
So here, I get the combo and Zilean ends up flashing and trying to double bomb. So because of Alistar's recent rework, maybe not actually that recent, but a year ago, your Q doesn't last for that long. So what's really dependent on us getting the chain CC is J4's EQ combo. If J4 EQs immediately, then they're gonna get knocked up into Zilean's double bomb stun. And in that ideal situation, this team fight would be over. These 3 people would instantly die. They would just instantly die. And
how hard is that to pull off realistically in a heat of a moment in a big game?
It all comes down to is everyone executing what they need to do. I think Alistar here has the hardest job where he finds this engage. Then
so you're patting yourself on the back. Yeah.
A little bit,
yeah,
but
okay.
Jarvan, he needs to EQ because his is probably the next hardest because Zilean is not fast enough to get the double bomb unless he already preemptively throws 1 bomb and then just has to throw 1 more. But to throw 2, it would be impossible if they have flashes.
Okay.
So Jarvan needs to just EQ here. But instead, what ends up happening is Jarvan messes up and only uses Q. So the team fight doesn't go into the ideal scenario. So for J4 to only press Q is, I think, a pretty big mistake. If let's say he just pressed EQ but wasn't fast enough, then I'd be more lenient. But because he only presses Q, that's actually a very bad mistake.
So let's roll it and see what happens, yeah.
So we don't get the combo there. But we get this re-engage off, which is really important for us because let's say we don't get this re-engage off, then this team fight could possibly disperse and we won't really get anything off of that engage.
Right, there's still no one dead.
Yeah. But because we get this, then we get the team fight still going. And what's really important here to know is that because of this, we kill one of their main carries and also their other carry, their Tristana, ends up jumping out of the fight. So she's not gonna be doing any damage. Even though she's alive, she's practically out of the fight because the entire fight shifts away from her where she's not doing any damage.
So even though it wasn't executed perfectly, because you found that great engage and they were scattered and not decisive, you were able to take a decisive victory and finish the match. Well, thanks for walking us through all that. That was amazing.
So now we've talked about kind of your childhood, your life, joining these challenger teams, getting into League of Legends, but now I really want to talk to you a little bit about joining TSM.
It just all happened so fast. Like one moment I was on Dream Team, a challenger team, and the next I was like flying out to Korea to possibly join the biggest esports titan of NALCS.
So you're in Korea. What was that whole experience like?
It was nerve-wracking because for the first couple of days, I only got to watch scrims. I was watching like these plays just happen left and right. I was like, wow, these people are insane. They're really good at this game.
What were your impressions of all these guys when you first started to meet them?
I wasn't flying with them, so I met them in Korea. And when I arrived, I recognized them, but they couldn't recognize me. They just saw me as like a normal, I guess, Asian shy kid.
What were your first impressions of Peter when you're playing with him at this time?
I had a vision of Peter being pretty toxic, but he was really nice when I was playing with him. He was not like that at all. Maybe it was because I was playing really well.
What were the final moments before you joined the team, and like how did you end up on the team completely?
Well, the trials went pretty well, and Andy told me that I could have a shot at becoming the starter for TSM. I was really, really happy, of course, but I still knew that if I played poorly on stage, then I would possibly get replaced.
It's such a fascinating story. You went from being somebody who did not expect or see themselves ever on a team to, in a very short time, you're suddenly playing on the best team in North America and just having massive success, right? Like in comparison, your AD carry at the time had there was a meme around how long it took for him to actually find a win. Did this ever get to your head? I mean, what was going on in your mind as you're winning all this stuff and finding all this success, and suddenly people want to interview you and you're one of the rising stars in the LCS out of nowhere, essentially?
So when I first joined the team, there was an expectation of us to win. So the first season going so well for us was partly because of everyone wanting to win so badly and to prove themselves. And for me, it was my inaugural split where I'm in front of all these people that I have to perform well.
Let's talk about that first finals. That arena was pretty big and that crowd was pretty great.
That crowd was crazy. It was awesome. When you hear them chant, the whole stadium rumbles, and it's a frightening experience, honestly.
I've heard interesting stories about TSM, right? In that there's been conversation that it is really intense behind the scenes. What was your experience like playing there for a year and a half?
It's an intense pressure environment. You're surrounded by like very hardworking people like Peter, Soren, Dennis, Hanser, like even our coaching staff as well as Andy, they all have a goal. They want to win worlds. And when certain things aren't leading up to that, they get very passionate about it. So we get into heated arguments. Like I remember getting into numerous arguments with people. It's all very stressful and it like helped shape me.
But like, is that a good environment
For the worst.
you to, yeah. Well, is that a good environment for you to be in?
It's just different because the environment that I'm in now with CLG is, it's such a different environment altogether.
It's like night and day.
Yeah, and I think both can work. It's just, I think when you go into the mindset of your teammates trust you and that whatever they're doing is so that they can win, you don't really take it personally. You go in there with a work personality, with a work environment, and you don't take anything to heart, where maybe you had a really intense argument with someone, but after scrims, you're still having like a friendly dinner with them.
Everything ended with TSM at the end of last year. What was the experience you had in finding out that you weren't going to be on that team anymore and that everything was kind of ending?
Well, after Worlds, after losing, I had no idea that things were going to change. But I kind of knew in the back of my head that if we didn't do well this time around, that there would be changes. Not necessarily thinking that I would be replaced or whatever, but it was just really hard for me to find out because I'd been on the team for a year and a half, been my only team since I've became a pro player. So it was really difficult for me, and I had no idea which team I was going to join next because by the time we came back from Worlds, most of the teams had already finalized their rosters. So I had to find a team fast, and it was just a big transition period.
So I wanted to talk to you about a few things. Your general practice environment, maybe some of your strengths and weaknesses, how you approach team communication, and also how you handle tilt and pressure. What do you feel your strengths and weaknesses as a player are?
Most of my strengths come from laning and like team fighting.
Okay.
And my weaker areas would be probably like roaming at like really critical times, or maybe like setting up better vision control.
So is that where you focus a lot of your mental energy these days?
I think it's really important to not only work on your weaknesses, but like build upon your strengths, because they're your strengths for a reason, and building upon your strengths can make you even better of a player. And no player is perfect, so even if those are your strengths, you can be even better.
So what do you feel that you do to maximize your 24 hours or your time practicing?
So you have 2 scrim blocks in a given day, and each scrim block has 3 games, so a total is 6 games that you're playing in a team environment. Most of the learning that you get isn't in the actual game itself, but it's the experiences you have after the game. Like in a certain situation, what you could have changed in that situation to do differently.
Right.
Maybe you could have pathed differently, maybe you could have taken a trade differently. Maybe you're just making the wrong decision altogether in a specific scenario. So you usually go over those type of situations after the game.
How do you handle pressure?
A lot of people, they have like pre-game rituals.
Yeah.
For me, I actually don't do that much.
Okay.
When I first started playing, I was super nervous all the time. More recently, I've been having like internal monologues with myself.
So focus on what's in your control, basically, and what you can achieve. 5 people talking over each other, and maybe 1 second, 2 seconds, everything happens so fast in team fights. How do you make it easier to communicate, especially since you've taken up the mantle of shot caller?
There's a lot of different points in the game where you're required to communicate different things.
Yeah.
In team fights, everyone's just shouting their potential ability in the team fight, where if I'm an engager, I'm going to be communicating about my engage options, what I'm looking for, how many seconds I'm going to be there in the fight, or how many seconds till I can make a game-changing play. And those are the really important things to communicate. Whereas if you're in mid-game or when you're playing around the map, then you're thinking about, okay, what are the ways, like, are we stronger, are we weaker? What does
Are you constantly communicating that when you're thinking about it?
Yes, okay. You're constantly communicating about, okay, I think we're stronger guys, let's look to fight, or our team comp wants to do this, we should look to do this instead of trying to fight them head on. Or you're talking about, okay, let's avoid fighting and just wait until we get our item spikes. There's like so many small things that you need to communicate about, which often are overlooked by the general community because mostly what they hear is what people communicate in team fights.
Yeah.
They're not really talking about specifics.
You know, we've all had those games that we play growing up, like the 3 or 4 titles that really resonate with us. I'd love to hear what yours are.
I think the first game would probably be StarCraft. Then,
Like StarCraft 2 or StarCraft Brood War?
oh, StarCraft Brood War. Second one, Final Fantasy X2.
Is that the one? That's the okay. So that's the Final Fantasy, not 10, but the one with the like
The three-
girl dancers.
yes.
Okay, interesting.
Why does everyone always make fun of me for that? And
Well,
then for the
yeah.
third one, it's Maple Story.
All right.
And for the fourth, it's World of Warcraft.
What did you play in World of Warcraft?
I played a mage for the most part.
Okay, mostly Mage.
Yeah.
Horde or Alliance?
I started off Alliance and then I switched off to Horde.
Which expansions?
I played since the start of Wrath of the Lich King and then I played all the way up to now actually.
Well, now that we've talked about your best games, we're gonna play a very different game.
Yeah, what is this?
Okay,
Travis?
okay. So, how would you pronounce the name of this game?
Galaga?
Okay, so we're gonna play. It's called Galaga. You're gonna compete against my score, Amine score, and maybe people that will be on Good Game Well Played in the future.
Okay.
All you need to do is take that knob and press this button,
Oh, this
and
is
you'll
so
start
cool.
player one. So,
So I'm already starting.
yes, exactly. So you're getting into it, and you just so you shoot that stuff. You've got. Oh, okay, that was really close. Don't get hit. Okay, those are bad. At a certain point in time, they will shoot at you, so be ready. See,
Oh,
like
they're
there's
starting,
a couple.
okay.
Yeah. Oh, yes.
How is this fair?
Oh, okay. You should probably avoid this. Okay.
This is just a setup to make pro players look bad.
These were the sickest graphics. Look at those explosions.
I really like the stars, like
Yeah.
shining.
You know, this game does not have a colorblind mode. There's an accessibility issue with it, I think. Okay. Okay.
I don't know what's happening.
Oh.
Is it gonna kidnap?
Okay.
Okay. Yeah.
Oh my god.
Did you see that?
Yeah. I did see that.
Wait,
But
okay.
I also saw that. And it's time to find out just how well you did. The leaderboard is right over here.
You 50K? How did you get 50K though?
50K was not hard for me. But you're number 2, which is ahead of Amine. Amine.
That's honestly not saying that.
Yeah. Well, okay. So at the end of 2017, you leave TSM and you join up with CLG.
Yeah, there wasn't that many teams that were still looking for supports. So I ended up deciding to join CLG after like finding out that CLG was an option.
Did you have any tryouts or did you talk to any of the members or were you just like, well, CLG it is?
Well, I just dueled a couple games with 6A and I was mainly talking to their coach, Zix. Everything was pretty much aligned with what I also wanted.
What were some of your first impressions of that team?
It's crazy because the entire time I was on TSM, I didn't really interact with anyone outside of our own team. So it was like my first time meeting these guys, even though I played competitively against them for like a year and a half. Everyone was pretty outgoing and they were all like trying to talk to me. I was a little bit nervous, but not as nervous as I was before because I'd already been in the scene for a while. There was also that thing where I felt like I needed to prove myself again because it's a new environment with like 4 other players, the coach, and they had, the only parts that they've seen of me is on stage where I play against them. They don't know how I communicate, or they've heard about things about how I communicate, how I am like outside a game, but they've never actually interacted with me.
On TSM, you were very much kind of the new guy, like the rookie
Yeah.
on the team. With CLG, you're playing with people who have played in some cases a long time, but others like Stixley kind of popped up around the same time as you. I imagine it is very different for you in that sense.
Yeah, it feels more so that we're all equals, whereas on TSM, I could never shake off the rookie feeling.
So what went wrong this past spring split? Were any of those problems with you?
Well, it's more like a team problem. A lot of it stemmed from the shot caller thing where the system that we had wasn't necessarily working. Febvin was just saying how we were just running in there and like dying one
yeah.
by one. I'm like,
Basically inting.
yeah, basically inting. We were actually running it down. But when you watch it, it's like, oh God, did we actually do this? It was horrendous.
So then, I mean, I don't know how this happened. Maybe you can tell me. they turn to you and they're like, all right, you're going to lead this team now. You're the shot caller. And you had said that you wanted to be more vocal, but this is a little bit beyond what you wanted, right?
Yeah, it was definitely not what I had envisioned. It was more like a 5-person system with everyone contributing, and I would have like a big voice. But it didn't go down that way, by the way, where they were like, please lead the team. It was more so, we kind of just had a very long meeting. We were, I think, 3-9 at that point. It was pretty brutal. We decided to change like the shot calling system where it would just be like one person. It was kind of at that point where, okay, let's just try anything, because at this point, like, there's nothing to lose.
But this is very different because you are usually a more quieter or dude. Now you have to kind of crack the whip at times, right? You have to get people to Dragon or to Baron in time.
I was actually screaming at times, which I would never imagine myself doing before, but I don't think I had that voice on TSM, so I wanted to change that so that I could become like a better player.
What will you do after?
I never really gave it a thought. Like, what can I do, Travis? Enlighten me.
You could be a commentator, you could be a designer. There's a lot of different opportunities out there.
It's scary to think this, like, any moment could be the last time that you're gonna be up there. But I've always liked talking, so being a commentator would be cool if I had people liked it.
You have to scream at more people in game, I think, to get practice on that.
Yeah, see, I don't know if I'd be like a shoutcaster. I could be like just on the desk.
An analyst, yeah.
Yeah, an analyst.
Okay. You know, I know it's only been 2 years, but a lot has happened for you during that time. Is there anyone that you would thank for the experiences that you've had? Anything that really stands out to you?
I mean, I'm just very grateful for TSM in general. Mostly Peter, for sure, because if he had never like chosen me on that day for the duo session, then I never would have had this opportunity, so I wouldn't be here. So I'm definitely grateful for that.
What do you want people to look back on your career and your legacy, and what do you want that to be?
I just want to do well at an international tournament, like not just like individually, but as a team where we make it out of groups, like hopefully even further than that. And that would be my ultimate goal.
Vincent, thank you so much for sitting down with me today to talk about your career and your life, and maybe someday you can help redeem us on the international stage. That would be very much appreciated, but thank you so much.
Thank you.